All right, let's talk about something incredibly important. How to get safe drinking water when, suddenly, you can't trust what's coming out of your faucet. This is a skill everyone should have.
So, picture this. You get an alert on your phone. It's from the city. Boil water advisory in effect. A pipe broke, or maybe there was a flood. What's your immediate plan? Do you actually know what to do step by step?
Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to sort that out for good. We're going to give you a super simple, expert-approved game plan. This is the hierarchy of how to make water safe, so you'll know exactly what to do in the right order.
So first, why is this becoming such a bigger deal? Well, with things like major storms, floods, and even just aging infrastructure, these water advisories are happening more and more. This isn't just some fringe survivalist skill anymore, it's becoming a practical necessity.
Okay, to make this all really easy to remember, especially when you're stressed, we're going to use a simple idea I call the purification ladder. Just think of it as rungs on a ladder, with the absolute best, most foolproof method at the very top.
So, what's at the top of that ladder? Boiling. It is the undisputed gold standard. Why? Because boiling kills everything. We're talking bacteria, viruses, parasites, you name it. It's the most reliable way to sterilize water, period.
Okay, but what if you can't boil? Maybe the power's out and you don't have a gas stove. Well, one rung down the ladder is your best backup, plain old household bleach. It's incredibly effective, but, and this is a big but, you have to do it exactly right. And at the bottom of our ladder, we've got basic filters. Think a coffee filter, a bandana, something simple like that. Now, listen closely, because this is the most common mistake people make. These filters are really just for removing dirt and cloudiness. They make water look cleaner, but they do not get rid of the dangerous germs you can't see.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is straight from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They make it crystal clear. Boiling is the #1 most effective way to kill germs in water. That's our scientific bedrock right there.
So, knowing the ladder is great, but the how-to is everything. So now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to walk through the exact steps for our top 2 methods, boiling and bleaching, so you can do them safely and effectively.
First, let's bust a huge myth. I bet a lot of you have heard that you need to boil water for like 10 or even 20 minutes, right? Well, the actual scientific fact from the CDC is that once water hits a rolling boil, it only needs 1 single minute to be safe. That's it. This is huge because it saves you a ton of time and, more importantly, fuel. So here's the entire process, nice and simple. Step 1, if your water looks murky, just pour it through a cloth first to get the gunk out. Step 2, get it to a rolling boil. That means big, angry bubbles are breaking the surface constantly, not just little simmers. Step 3, start your timer for 1 minute. Now, if you're way up high in the mountains, say over 6,500 feet, do it for 3 minutes. And that's it. Just let it cool down and store it in a clean container.
All right, let's move on to bleach. With this method, you have to be precise. The exact number of drops you need depends on 2 things: how cloudy the water is and the bleach's concentration. You absolutely have to look at the label on your bleach bottle to see if it's 6% or 8.25%, and then use this chart to add the right amount per gallon.
And here are the safety rules you cannot skip. First, you have to use the right kind of bleach. Plain, unscented, regular bleach. No splashless or scented stuff. And it needs to be less than a year old because it gets weaker over time. Add your drops, give it a stir, and then wait a full 30 minutes. The final check, a smell test. The water should have just a faint smell of chlorine. If it doesn't, add the same dose again and wait another 15 minutes.
You know, everything we've talked about so far is reactive, but the real pro move is being proactive. That means having clean water ready to go before things go wrong. So let's talk about smart water storage.
So what's the magic number you should have on hand? Well, according to the Department of Homeland Security, the goal is 1 gallon of water per person per day. That should cover you for drinking and a little bit for sanitation.
And here are a couple of great ways to store it. You can't beat commercially bottled water for convenience. Just stash it somewhere cool and dark. A fantastic last-minute trick, if you know a storm is coming, is to fill up your bathtub. That gives you a huge reservoir of water for flushing toilets or washing. But, and this is critical, if you ever need to drink that bathtub water, you have to treat it first, even if your tub looks perfectly clean.
All right, we're in the home stretch. For our last section, let's cover some common traps people fall into, the tools you might have, and the absolute ironclad rules you can't break.
This slide is a big one because a lot of people own portable water filters like a LifeStraw, and they're fantastic for hiking. But look at their limitations in an urban disaster. They're great at removing bacteria and parasites, but what they can't remove are the really small things like viruses or contaminants like chemicals, heavy metals, or salt. In a citywide emergency, those are real risks, which means these filters aren't a complete fix.
Here's another smart idea: understanding gray water. This is basically any water that you've collected that isn't safe to drink, like from a rain barrel or even the bucket under your dehumidifier. Don't waste your precious drinking water on flushing the toilet. Use this gray water instead. It's a great way to conserve your safe supply.
And now for the single most important rule in this entire explainer. There are some water sources you should never, ever try to purify. If water smells like chemicals or gas, has a rainbow sheen of fuel on it, or comes from a radiator or heating system, walk away. Boiling or bleach will not remove these poisons. It's not worth the risk. Find another source.
So, after all that, what's the one thing you need to burn into your memory? It all comes back to our simple ladder. Let's say it one more time. Boiling is best. Bleach is your backup. And basic filters, they're just for getting the dirt out. That's the whole system right there.
So, we'll leave you with this final question. You now have the knowledge, you know what to do, but do you have the stuff to actually do it? Right now at home, do you have a way to boil water? Do you have a fresh bottle of plain bleach? Is there any water stored away? Because having the knowledge is one thing, having the supplies is what really counts.